Welcome, everybody. How's everybody doing? Welcome to another episode of She Shift. Before I have given you any homework assignments, as you know, I always start out. Tell me and drop in the feed. One, let me know how you're doing. And two, I want to ask you, are you feeling a little shift going on in your life, but you can't identify it? If so, you're in the right place. My name is Pam Stone, and I am your host of She Shift, a weekly woman empowerment show for those of us that are over 45 that are ready to discover our what's next, but we just don't know one, what the what's next is, two, we're looking for some support, or three, we just want to hang out. You're in the right place. So tonight I have another amazing guest I always bring on, and she's going to inspire you to go after your what's next, I'm sure. But in the meantime, before I bring her on, let's get to her homework assignment. Look, y'all, I do have my favorite evening beverage. Look, I don't know if you can see it. It is actually sugar-free lemonade. Look, I did my treat, so I get to do that. I don't have my snack. That's okay. I do have my favorite evening beverage. Tell us, drop in the feed and let us know what is your favorite evening beverage around this time? And your go to snack. That's one. Two, go grab your pen and your paper because I promise you, you will be receiving nuggets left and right within this time frame. And I don't want you to miss them. And three, go grab your girlfriend and girlfriends. How about that? And grab your family members. And again, if you have any questions, drop them in the feed. We will see them instantly down here below. So without further ado, let me bring on She Shift's guest for tonight, who is Kimberly Harris. Hello, lady.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am well. I am so well tonight. Thank you for asking.
Thank you for joining. I'm so excited. Each time I have you ladies on, I'm like so excited. I have to pull my excitement down because then I'll be forgetting what I want to say, things like that. But before we get into it, Kimberly, let everybody know who you are, what you do.
Oh, well, my name is Kimberly Harris. I have a long resume, but I always like to share that most of all, most importantly, I'm a community leader. I do lots of volunteer work, but what I am most known for is I had served 2 terms for the town of Normal City Council, was the first person of color to serve in that role. And right now I am in an intentional pause, is what I like to call it. Um, while I'm in my intentional pause, I still work for State Farm insurance companies as a technology analyst, but I'm also working with Light Strategies lobby firm. So still being involved, still very active, and I'm volunteering probably more now than I have ever before.
I could imagine. I can see you doing that. I can see you doing when you're like, yeah, Pam, I'm gonna take a moment. I'm like, yeah, right. Okay. Okay. I understand. But Kimberly, let's get into this. So people get to grabbing their nuggets here. Before you ever stepped into the public office, what version of yourself were you becoming?
Ooh. That is a very interesting question because when I first stepped into office in 2017, I was married. I was in my 30s. And life was actually just coming around, even in my career space, where I was trying to figure out what was my next in my career. Working for State Farm at that time, I worked for State Farm Bank as a business analyst, and so trying to navigate that as well as what am I doing in this public space. And so you try to, I think for me, it was a shift in who am I in this season of my life and who do I want to be as I move forward. Um, Lots have changed since then, but I think it was certainly a learning lesson, even in just running for office and finding out more about myself. Um, you'll be surprised what you learn. I always say what I call the pressure cooker of life, which is that tough spot, those hard moments. And I think being, in an election cycle will put you through some tests and put you in the pressure cooker for sure.
So you really do feel so you really, as we see it on the other side, so you really were faced with those pressure cooker moments as we see?
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
At the from the very first time I ever ran, there's always so much that comes with it. I think in that season too, I learned um, that some people you can't count on, who you
Mhm.
think you might be able to count on. I don't mind sharing and I'm always open. It was one of those things that brought some difficulties in my marriage. So you have that aspect of it. You have the aspect that this community, which is about 17% African American, asking them to vote for their first ever person of color, has its own struggles in itself and the things that you may face and come against. Also, working a full time job. A lot of people who are in these spaces are business owners, or that's all they do. They're just in politics. And to be honest, there's not a lot of money in it. So,
Wow.
for the most part, you are working a second job in order to, have a decent living or ensure that you have second income. And so that was something that's not common in the space. So that's something
Mhm.
you come up against as well. And to answer the questions, can you navigate both? And I did prove for 8 years it could be done. At one point, I was working 3 jobs, and was navigating it, so it happens.
So what did you find out about yourself as you were talking about as you're going through it all? What did you find out about yourself?
I think for me, you always hear about, what strengths should look like.
Mhm.
I think I got a better understanding of what that is, and it's not a lot of what we see about how well we handle the hard times, or and what I mean by that is just endure pain.
Mhm.
I think what it's most about is how we arrive afterwards. And I think strength is more about how do you get up
Mm.
than navigating the space. Because I think when we put this label of strong, while
Yes.
we're there, we don't allow ourselves to feel in the moment. We don't allow ourselves to cry or show up for ourselves. I think we do more damage in that, but the strength is not in how you are in the moment. It's how you get back up afterwards. To me, I had to learn that for about myself. Like, I'm allowed to feel this way. I'm allowed to feel defeated in the moment. I'm allowed to feel like it's hard, it's okay to have these feelings, but then what do you do? And so I reimagined for myself what strength is. And so that was one of the first things I learned. uh, I think that was the most eye-opening piece for me. I think the other thing I learned about myself was just um I I feel like it's easy for us to have compassion and grace for others, and it's harder for ourselves. And I realized I was guilty of that. I was not always patient with myself, or showed grace towards myself, or even patience with myself. And so that has been something I've had to learn through navigating some of those waters over the years, and as I'm learning and evolving within myself.
One thing I really liked about you said you had to imagine how you look. How did that feel? Because that means you had to do a lot of inner work.
It is, and I tell people, you it people will talk about healing and life's journey as
Mhm.
if it goes like this up and down, or even if it's this linear thing, or even circular. And let me tell you, it is not that all at all. You might up and down, back and forth, all the way. I mean, when you get done with the picture of life, it is not pretty. And so in that, I have had to do the work, and then sometimes when you do the work and you think you're doing good, you fall back ten steps,
Yes.
and it all it does is it helps you continue to evolve.
Mm,
And I have that's where that patience and that grace comes from, with yourself, because some days are better than others, and you just have to just be consistent. Like, hey, even when it's a bad day, like it was a bad day, but tomorrow's new, and I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna start all over again. I had to do some new practices, and I know the new thing is like everybody's talking about self care, but
yes.
self care is more than just a cliche. It's a real thing.
True.
It is about loving on yourself and loving yourself in a way that you can receive all that is good for you, and not just like physical things, also those
Right.
emotional things. Peace
Mm,
comes more easy, joy comes more easy when we are a little open. And the only way we can get there is just through that process of loving on ourselves. Um, so I always have to remind myself that this journey, again, this journey is not nobody's picture is going to look the same.
true.
Nobody's picture is going to look the same. The ebbs and flows and what even triggers you is different. And I'm realizing like things that we think we're over. All we One thing I've learned most recently, especially for women of color, we suppress them. We're
Mm,
good at suppression. And
yes.
so I'm learning to not suppress and to face it head on. And that can be hard.
Mm,
I did a meditation one day, and it had you just sit with these things. And that was the hardest thing, to just sit with
right.
the most heaviest things so that we're no longer suppressing, we're
Right.
facing it, we're addressing it, and we're taking it head on.
Which I commend you for because, as you said, we as women in color, we suppress it and we act like it's okay. I recognize it more. I think I'm recognizing it more so now than ever, and especially around people around me. And I'm like, it's okay to talk about it, and be and know that you're, long as you're in a safe space, that you're not going to be judged.
Mhm.
Because I believe if you don't, that all of that you're holding in is holding you back
Yeah.
from what can be seen on the other side. So kudos to you for the work. I'm too starting to give, and let me talk about the grace. I always like, and that was the first thing I want to hear. Oh, she's giving herself grace. And then when you're just like, but I don't, and I can recognize learning how to give ourselves grace is very hard, because you and I know society is a very judgmental,
Mhm.
especially now than ever. Is be so becoming so judgmental. For to give grace is hard.
Yeah.
It is very hard for us to do. But let me ask you this: as you have become, and I wrote down evolve because I see the evolution in you from the time we first met until now, and I see it. And I see the big glow of this, and I see your peace and your joy. Did your life at any time prior to this new life prepare you for any of this? Did you even see yourself doing this?
I will say there's nuggets you get that become helpful. But the
Mm,
reality is we're never prepared for, I feel like something always out of it comes that it's like, "Oh, I wasn't quite ready for that." Like, I wasn't ready. Nobody, even though I've seen divorces and I've been around people who were divorced, because my divorce journey was different than somebody else's, I couldn't quite prepare. I knew how
mm,
to stand in my truth in the midst of what was going on, because that's something you learn when you've seen other people do it. I knew how to say enough was enough. I understood that. But there were parts of the journey that was so unique because of our own unique journeys and what we bring to life space. I wasn't prepared for. When I most recently, I ran for mayor,
mm,
with the assurity that it was gonna go through, and last minute, the prior mayor says, I'm gonna run, and it just shifted everything. So, and I did all the right things, and I made all the right steps and made all the right connections. So there's just always that piece of uncertainty that sits there. You could have everything in place, take all the nuggets, all the things um, you know, found myself in financial situations, like,
Yeah.
knowing all the ways to prepare and try to make sure things are okay, but you don't there's always that unexpected that can happen. And so I always try to share with people, yes, prepare as best you can, but also know there's some unexpected pieces that come. And now that I'm in this space of evolving, I try to tell people, first of all, I'm a woman of faith. And
Right.
in that, I believe that sometimes that's God's way of reminding us he's God.
Yep.
So we can prepare
You want,
all we want,
but
but
he's
there's that part he's going to need to step in
he's
on.
right.
And
And
so I
he has
just
the
put the
ultimate and he
unexpected.
has the ultimate say of it all.
Yes, absolutely. So I feel like that's where that unexpected piece comes in.
Mhm.
So like, yes, prepare yourself, be self-aware, be knowledgeable about whatever space you're stepping into. But also understand that the unexpected could come. And not only for the bad, for the good too.
True.
I tell
True.
people I started off at State Farm in the State Farm Bank as a business analyst, and now I'm a technology analyst, also serving as a product owner. And so who knew I would go into
Yeah.
technology. I never saw myself there. So you also have to open yourself up for the unexpected, in those spaces. And I enjoy STEM. I teach STEM, when I
Yeah.
volunteer. So that's how much I realize that there's always that good unexpected too.
So did you have to so the that's let me just start back up because my mind is moving faster than my tongue. So we have women that are listening to us around the world, and they are too in that space of trying to discover themselves or rediscover themselves. And they're sitting at the desk like, man, this is powerful. What would be your piece of advice for her?
My piece of advice would be don't be afraid. I think fear is the one thing that hinders us from doing whatever. Um, Even if it's that, you get that pressing on yourself to say, you know what, I've had it with this job. This is enough. I'm ready for something new. There's no losses in taking the chance and taking a bet on yourself. And so I think I think so much in life, we're always trying to make sure we have crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's before we do something. And I say just go for it.
Mm.
Don't let fear hinder you. Take the risk, take the bet on yourself because you won't lose. And so I know that's hard to hear, but that's something I'm learning. Even when I decided, okay, what am I going to do post the election? And started Polity Solutions to become a contractor with a lobbying firm, I
Mm.
took a bet on myself. It was like, okay, am I going to do this? Am I going to start a business? And what
And
is
I remember that. I remember we talked right after that.
Mhm.
Like I was like, I'm like, man, she is my Shira. Because man, I would have, and I even told you I'd had an attitude, and but then the attitude would have held you back. But I would have had attitude. But I mean, but here's the thing, though. You recognize the shift because of not receiving or getting that the mayor vote, but you shifted. I think when you shifted, I think that's really was your she shift
Yeah.
because it allowed you, it opened up to so many opportunities. And like I said, I see the shift in you. So kudos again. Let me ask you this. Vision Made believes that empowered women create empowered communities. From your experience, why does representation in leadership truly matters?
I will say just from my own experience, going into the schools a lot of times, that's really where it just continues to inspire me and realize representation matters. I'll never forget, in my earlier years, I went to a school and a young boy, had, you know, of color,
Mhm.
and I have never seen a Black person on our council. And so it just I realized how important that was
Mm.
and that I needed to show up. And not only in the spaces for people of color, but for women. Um,
Right.
for women to see me fearless in a sense. And so the more I do that, and I think that's why I show up every day. I volunteer, I go into the schools. I'm at Illinois State University mentoring young women to empower them. And I've watched so many of them grow, from one young lady being a part of a our multicultural leadership program, who is now, I mean, she's writing grants for programs and getting them. I have another young lady she's going to DC for a program this coming summer. And just to hear all the
Mhm.
things that these young women are doing from just being inspired. And so it keeps me to say, okay, I can't stop, because it's true. When you have representation and you are there to empower, people will be empowered.
I agree. If your life were a vision board today, what words or images would be front and center?
Ooh, I would say peace would be
Mm.
front and center. Safety would be front and center. Love and grace.
Yeah, those are good. Those are real good. And then the last one, and then we'll do something fun. Many women over 45 feel a nudge towards service, leadership, or advocacy, but aren't sure they qualified. What would you say to her?
If you are a woman, you are qualified. I believe women are more qualified than anyone else because we take the time to try to navigate and think things through. But I don't want us to shrink. I think society has done that enough to us. We shouldn't do it to ourselves, and we shouldn't do it to each other. I'm always about pushing other women forward. Matter of fact, Sunday, I spoke with the Illinois Women's Institute for Leadership, which are women who are rising to do great things in their communities. They're everything from running for state representative to actual local community leaders, whether they're council members, school board members, running nonprofits. So I am there to say, do it. We
Mm.
need you. Especially in this time in our society today, we need compassion. And
Yes.
that's the one thing women bring to the conversation, is compassion. And so I think we're seeing now more than ever the importance of the woman's voice and how impactful she can be in these spaces. So don't let age, don't let any of that or the fact that you're a woman stop you. Keep pushing. We need you. And I feel like as long as you feel good on the inside
I
to
know
get up and do it,
that's
do
exactly.
it.
With you. And I'm glad you touched on age because, as again, we're talking about women over 45, and society more so now than ever is like drilling down. Well, you're over 45, you had your chance, move over and sit down. And I'm one of them, and that's one thing that I want billion women to know. It's never you never move over. You stand, plant your feet, and move forward, and know that you don't have to do it by yourself. There's so many of us in this she shift community that will stand behind you, because so many women, and we talked about it, allow fear to push them to the side. So with that being said, I really like that. So right here, oh, one more thing. What skills from your early season of life prepared you for leadership if you didn't realize it at that time?
I think confidence
Mm.
is one of those things, building my confidence throughout my earlier years, were helpful. Communication. I learned at a very young age. My grandmother would take me in rooms and have me shaking hands, looking people in the eye.
Mhm.
And I get people all the time who tell me, especially men, like, you have a really good handshake. Yes, I've been working on that since I was a young girl. Um, Understanding time management. I think that has been so helpful for me. I think that's also the shift. I learned all these professional skills early on, and now I'm learning all these soft skills with myself. I think those were the things that were missing. It's like, oh, wait a minute. There's something outside of getting degrees and job positions. It's called self. So let me work on that part now.
I know that's right.
So I think sometimes I think, that's the one thing though I do wish would have been more instilled to be able to know those things about yourself and
I
what do you
agree.
like and what do you love and what do you need and what are your boundaries. I think those were the things that were missing, but I think everything to be successful within the business world was certainly given to me, and I had all those tools.
I agree. I do wish I received those tools back in the day, but I know God has a plan for me, and I know He did it on His time, and this was His time. But I'm with you, learning how to plant your feet and standing firm and standing still is so important because, like I said, especially nowadays, women are missing it. They're missing it. So at this point in time, juncture, Miss Kim, I do rapid fire. And I'm
Okay.
going to ask you a question. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Are you coffee or tea?
Tea.
Ooh, I know that's right. What kind of tea?
I love herbal teas, like fresh loose leaf herbal teas.
Oh, yes. Morning or evening?
Morning.
Me too. A power word that defines the season of your life.
Ooh, power word. Uh, mm, I could think of it. Let's say for a power word, season of life, um, fortitude.
Ooh, I knew you was coming up with something. One belief you had to let go to lead fully.
Say, I didn't hear the first part.
Sure. One belief you
Mhm.
had to let go of to lead fully.
That I'm every woman.
Okay. All right. Leadership feels more aligned when
You understand purpose
community is strongest when
when we come together.
one truth every woman should remember about her voice.
It is powerful.
Oh, I love that. And then lastly, what's one book you're reading right now that everyone should read?
Oh, the one that I'm reading, what can now why can't I think of the name of it? It's Guillory is her last name, Jasmine Guillory. It's the one about the wine.
Okay.
She owns they own a winery. I'm into romance right now, so
Oh, look. I'm always learning. I have so many personal development. I'm like, let me change my mind a little bit and move it to
yes.
something else. So I like that.
It's
I
funny
definitely,
because I'm reading that book, and the gentleman in that book is younger than the woman,
uh-huh.
and it was like I just watched, Tempted by Love and Tempted to Love, and I was like, "Okay, what's happening?" All these younger men with older women now, okay.
Could be a sign. Could be a sign. I love it. I love it. And then let me ask you this, Kimberly. If a woman reading Vision Made magazine or listening to She Shift and is standing at the edge of her what's next, what
Mhm.
would you want her to know about trusting the vision unfolding inside of her?
Go for it. Do not settle. Keep moving.
I love it. Before we go, everybody. Oh, one more thing. What is your what's next?
Ooh, my what's next? So I am currently a part of a cohort for women who are community leaders or pastors or first ladies or in nonprofits. And so part of that cohort is we design projects. And
Ooh,
so hopefully one of my projects that I'm designing through the cohort, it'll go through and more to come on that.
I can't wait for that, you guys. I can't wait to see that. Well, I want before we shut down, there's two things I want everyone to know. So this week, Vision Made Power Word is unveiled. And I think you unveiled it all. You unveiled how important it is to peace. Peace is powerful. And I also love safety. We need that. So this, I think you fell right into our power word for this week. But I want to thank you for joining me. This is so, as always, so much fun and things like that. And I knew, as I always know, that it was going to be powerful, impactful. I wrote down notes on every page that I flipped. So I have to the notes here. But if you would hold on for a moment, I'm going to put you in the green room and I'll close on the show and I'll be with you.
Okay.
Cool. Oh my goodness, I told you guys tonight's show would be empowering as Kimberly had talked about the power words of peace. She talked about power words of safety and love. She has those on her vision board. So if you have a vision board that you would like to share with us, go ahead and drop it. Send me an email. Take a picture with you. I would love to see it. Send it to visionsmadellc@gmail.com and put my vision board. Send me a picture of your vision board. And no, vision boards are not to be sitting in the corner collecting dust, but it is to be moving with intention. And if you want to do some vision board work, drop me a line and I definitely will get to you. And then lastly, tonight's show is all sponsored by Vision Made magazine. Kimberly is in there, you guys. You get to read more of her story as an amazing woman. So if you're interested in gaining a digital copy of Vision Made magazine, you can go ahead and you can text me at 614-674-0074 and then text magazine and someone will get back to you. So I'm hoping tonight's show has empowered, inspired you to go after your what's next and knowing that the shift is inside of you and don't allow fear to hold you back. We know it's hard. We know it's scary, but you can do it with some help and guidance. And we're here for you. So until next week, when I bring on another amazing woman who can empower, inspire you what's next. My name is Pamela Stone. And if you feel like tonight's show can inspire your friend who did not join you tonight, please share the show. I always believe sharing is caring. Until next week, everyone, take care of yourself and get out here and shift to your what's next. Bye.